Hey, my name is Vincent, and today I'm going to be going over my build journey of my trackish prepped NB Miata. I initially bought this car under the guise that I was going to use this predominantly for the track, car to learn with and just kind of develop as a driver. And since that initial premise, I've had now 4 Miatas. I think I've kind of fell in love with the chassis, the driving dynamics, building, modifying these, and driving them on the racetrack and on back roads. And so I want to go kind of into a deep build journey of this specific car. This isn't the first Miata I had. The first one, unfortunately, I wrecked at Laguna Seca last year. But this one's a pretty special car to me because it's kind of marks my return back to Miatas, and I think I built this car a lot differently than I did the blue car. So without further ado, I'm going to hop into what I think the 4 tenets are of this particular build and kind of some thoughts around what might be next for the car. As the car sits right now, it's on 949 Racing XIDAs in the front. They're not single or double way adjustable. It's just a standard shock on the coaxial mount. It's a 16K spring rate in the front, 9K in the rear. And as I was doing research on, a good track back road shock, I wanted something that was compliant on the track, manageable on back roads, and good enough to daily drive. And I'm running these right now at 7 clicks from the most stiff, and I think they're perfect. I think they're really in that sweet spot of stiff enough where I'm not like breaking my teeth over bumps, and I have room to play with as I want to increase the stiffness. And I have really nothing but good things to say about these shocks. They're very high quality. They even have coilover sleeves, which help with the longevity of the car. So that's what's on in terms of suspension setup. I have a Flyin Miata front sway bar, OEM in the rear, and then I have a proper, track spec alignment. I don't remember the exact specs of it. I think basically I maxed out camber in the front, maxed out caster. I can't remember what toe settings it is, and then in the rear it's pretty straight. I think maybe there's mild toe in and negative 2 degrees camber. I also have Bauer extended lower ball joints as well for me to get the max, call it 3 degrees of camber as well. So those 4 things really make up the suspension in this car, and it makes for a very, very compliant track car that I could also daily if I wanted to, and just rip around the back roads in. I also have a rear diff brace as well I bought it on Goodwin Racing. It's, I think, the Roadster Sport PPF brace, and that really helps with just tying the whole PPF together in the rear. So I think those 4 things make up the suspension at a glance. In terms of brakes, I'm running a Wilwood Little Big brake kit from Flyin Miata, stainless steel lines. The 11-inch diameter 2-piece aluminum top hat brakes, and then OEM in the rear. I think the most important part of the braking system here is actually the pad compound. I'm running GLOC R10 in the front and R8 in the rear, and I'm not even kidding you, like, the brakes have changed my life on this car. Previously, I ran the Wilwood BP10 and the BP20, and the BP10, I smoked those in like 4 events. Pretty disappointed in that. And then I upgraded to the BP20 upgrade, I say, and I just could not get enough heat in them. And like, there are moments on the track where I'm like stomping on the brakes, and I just keep going forward because they just did not grab right. I know that I bedded them in right. I take pride in actually bedding my brakes in. I think I'm pretty good at that, and I even did that on the 4Runner. And so I don't think it was a user error. I think it really is just the BP20 is a pad that just needs more heat in it, and for a Miata that's very lightweight, not very fast, it's hard to get proper heat in a brake pad like that. With the G-Locks, it's a night and day difference. They're very firm. They last a very, very long time. I've had them for probably 8 track events, and they're a racing compound, right? So there's going to be a little bit of a sacrifice in terms of livability. If I show you right here, let's see if this this focuses. There's gonna be, like, there's a good amount of brake dust on the pad, and they are a bit noisy when they get up to temp, but it's a high performance track pad, and that kind of comes with the territory of performance. But other than those two things, these are the best pads that I've ever used on any car. And when I do upgrade or run out of brakes on this, I'm gonna go R12 in the front and probably R10 in the rear, because I love them so much. I don't think I'm gonna look for any other brake pad than these. In terms of the wheel and tire package, I'm currently running a 6UL 15x8 wheel from 949 Racing, wrapped in Bridgestone Potenza's RE71 RS in a 205/50 tire. I bought these because I recognized that the 15x9s I was previously running were just a little bit too numb. I personally feel like for a stock powered Miata, a 15x9 on a 225 is just too much grip. It's too numb. It's a little numb on the track, and it's very numb on the street. It made the car, like, it accentuated the fact that it didn't have a lot of power. And so I feel like it was over gripped on that side of things. And I like to street drive the car, so I downsized to a 15x8 and a 205. And I think it's the perfect blend of performance and playfulness. You don't suffer from degraded braking performance with the smaller tire, and you have enough of that Goldilocks grip where you can rotate the car on turn in, and, you know, through managing lift off oversteer, where you can really push the car without it just, you know, flying off in front of you. So I really like the 15x8. The 205 look with that meaty sidewall also is just like a classic Miata look that I really adore. And so I feel like I found a really good wheel and tire package I'll probably run for a really long time to come here. So I'll start with the intake. I have a Cobalt shielded cold air intake. It's a proper cold air intake with ducting that shields it from heat from the headers, and, you know, it doesn't make as much induction noise as my previous Racing Beat one, but I think it's a better system overall. The Racing Beat intake was like very hard to live with because you had to take it off to do everything in that general area. I do not recommend it, although it did make very good induction noises. In terms of exhaust, there is a full exhaust system on this car. It's got the Racing Beat 4-to-1 headers that mates up to a Bowfly catless mid-pipe, and then a Racing Beat muffler as well. It's loud. It's not horrible. I mean, it drones a good amount. It's a 4-cylinder, it's a catless 4-cylinder. But I like it. I think it's okay. And one of the reasons I went catless was because, honestly, at the track I could not hear the car in my helmet, and there were moments where I would be at redline unintentionally because I simply could not hear it. And then after like a couple seconds I'd feel it and I'm like, oh shit, like I need to fix this. So I threw her on, you know, a catless setup. It smells horrible, and it doesn't sound great, but it gets the job done. And I think the car is actually a lot peppier with these bolt-ons than what my previous stock NB was. The stock NB, stock car, just an intake, it was a little lethargic compared to this. It could just be like placebo based off of the sound, but I think it's a bit peppier than like your average NB, and I got most of these parts used, so I'm not really complaining. Oh god, that's hot. Okay. In terms of cooling, I have a Super Miata cross-flow radiator paired up with the Super Miata coolant reroute. I did both of those jobs at the same time. And then another cool cooling mod that I have here is the Track Dog Racing header blanket. With an aftermarket header, you're not able to run a proper heat shield, and I initially thought this was vaporware, but I'm touching it right here, and I drove the car 30 minutes to the spot, and it's cool to the touch. It's not cold, but it's also not gonna burn my hand if I touch it. And I think if you just think about the placement of where this is in the car in relation to the intake, it's definitely money well spent. So I have this on. I think it's worth it, especially if you're running that aftermarket header, to kind of sacrifice the looks of the nice, shiny, you know, polished exhaust manifold for proper cooling. I want to talk about this other concept that I have in mind, which is like driver feel. Driver feel is everything that you as the driver touch and interact with on an everyday basis when you're in the car. So the biggest highlight of the driver feel modifications that I did in this car was the bucket seat.
It's a Spaco Evo S. I wanted to maximize my driver comfort while also minimizing the footprint of the seat in the car. And I think the Evo S does exactly that. It's a bucket seat, so it's not gonna be the most comfortable seat that you'll have, but it helps a lot with bolstering. It allows me to run the 6-point harness, which I have in the back. And I personally think that a bucket seat, or the right bucket seat, is actually more of a suspension mod than it is a seat mod, because it really holds you down under, you know, extreme lateral G's. It keeps you secured in the car, unlike any OEM seat ever can. The bolstering, or the lack of bolstering, in most factory seats is a huge hindrance for driving on the track and even for spirited back roads that I think a lot of people overlook, and is a huge improvement that complements you as a driver as well as the chassis that, you know, the car is bolted onto. I also have the 3-point factory harness as well, which is really important for safety on the road. You know, you don't want to be driving around with a 6-point harness that's going to snap your neck if you get into an accident. And so I have the ability to kind of run this in dual purpose, right? On the street with the 3-point, and then when I get to the track, I just take the 6-point out off the roll bar and strap myself in, and then do the exact opposite when I'm ready to go home. I also have a Momo 320mm steering wheel. This is really good because it's a lot smaller than the OEM steering wheel is, and with a smaller base, it creates a harsher ride, but it increases the responsiveness of the steering, especially when you turn the car in for trail braking or other turns, or even when you're catching it. It's obviously got the Alcantara, which is nice on my hands. I don't wear gloves. Most things that I've learned in a track car is like everything except for the chassis is a wear item. So yeah, you know, my hands sweat when I'm on the track, and it's gonna kind of, you know, screw up the Alcantara, but I don't really mind it. I think the quality of the Alcantara over the years has dropped significantly, and this thing has fallen apart in a matter of like six months anyways, so it just is what it is.
It's kind of crazy to wrap a build up like this in such a short video. It's obviously been almost a year-long journey with this car. I got it when it was completely stock, and I've loved every bit of it. I love the fact that I could, you know, reliably take it to the track, drive it anywhere I want, take it on back roads, take it on long drives, and, you know, just have it turn over every time, be that reliable NA Miata, or NA, like naturally aspirated Miata, for me. You know, there's a world where I boost the car, and to be quite honest, I have this debate with myself internally like every other week at this point on, you know, do I go Flyin Miata turbo kit? Do I keep it NA, maybe go full aero? But yeah, you know, I'm kind of leaning towards throwing the FM turbo on it. I think it'll give me, you know, some really like added fun factor to it. I'll obviously have the low end torque. It'll, you know, top out at a much faster speed, and it'll help me fall back in love with the car once I've maxed my skill level out with it. I haven't maxed out yet. You know, 129 at 129.6 at Thunder Hill West. I want to try to get into the 210s on East, and then I'll be like, all right, I'm ready to boost this thing. Maybe I go back to Laguna Seca, maybe I go to SoCal tracks as well before I boost, just to get, you know, a baseline down. But yeah, this is kind of the build. It's been a solid car for me. I love it. I love the color. I love everything about it. I mean, it's slow, which is why I think, you know, it warrants the turbo, but it's cool. Miatas are cool. You know, I love the NA NB chassis. I have an ND that I just acquired, but I really love to see how people set up their NA NB Miatas for performance. So if you have an NA or an NB Miata, let me know like what the specs are of your build. If you want to like shoot me over a link to like your channel, or you know, like highlight your build, let me know, because I love to learn from other people. I think that's the best part of Miatas, is like the community of people who, you know, race them and really invest into like high quality parts are really smart guys, because they know how to get, you know, the last ounce of power and performance out of what's otherwise a pretty limiting chassis that relies on you as the driver to really push it to the next level. So let me know about your cars. Let me also know like if there are any things that I'm missing here or like obvious gaps. I don't know, I'm only one person, and I obviously, you know, have a job and I don't do this full time, and I'm still pretty new to it. So if there's anything that you see in terms of like glaring performance gaps, or like why does he have this set up the way he does, let me know, because again, I'd love to learn from you guys, and yeah, hopefully make more videos to come, because this was a lot of fun for me. So I'll catch you on the next one.